Welcome to the third video in our scientific CV series. This video is going to be on formatting your CV, and it's going to cover the key things that you're going to want to pay attention to make sure that your important information on your CV stands out. If you want to check out the previous two videos in this series, the first one on choosing your style and structuring your CV, the second one on filling in the key information of your CV, the links to those two videos are below. Otherwise, this is Butler Scientific Communications. I am Casey Butler. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this in the future. And if you're ready to go, let's talk about formatting your CV. So to get started and to give you an example of why formatting your CV is important, I'm going to put my CV up on the screen here for you now. And I want you to tell me as fast as you can, first, how many positions you can see listed here on the CV. And next, what year did I start my company, Butler Scientific Communications? I'm sure you were able to find that information, but I bet it did take you a couple seconds of searching to pull that out and find it on the CV. That is not ideal because information like this, we want to be instantly available to the person who is looking at our CV, because people don't spend as much time as we want them to looking at our CV. They don't have that much time. This information needs to be available rapidly. And so this also does assume that your CV is being read by an actual human person and not a computer. But for a lot of academic style CVs, such as if you're applying to a postdoc, things like that, these are going to be read by actual human people. And so we are going to make our CVs easy to read by the actual human people that are probably going to be reading them. And even if a computer is reading your CV, it's not going to matter if the formatting is optimized for a human. It's still going to be great. So let's make sure we pay attention to the formatting of our CV. And I'm going to give you here a lot of different ideas for things you can use to make formatting work for you and make this information, key information, stand out. The first thing we're going to do is use formatting to clearly delineate sections and subsections of our CV. You want it to be the easiest thing in the world for somebody to skim over your CV and find out exactly where all of those different sections start and end and where the next one is going to be. You want somebody to be able to instantly look at your CV, know what they're looking for, like if they want to check your publications, to be able to instantly find publications and check your publications. So we're going to make the sections and subsections very clear. To help do this, to help make your CV skimmable, there are a couple different options here that you can use to make this stand out. So first, as compared to the CV that I just showed you before, where everything was kind of all run together, one of the clear ways you can use to make sections stand out is to actually just use lines. So put lines across the screen to delineate the different sections. I have an example of that here. But also, I want to make sure that you're not afraid of using things like color. You can also use color, either colored fonts or colored bars or colored bands across the different sections to make those stand out. And finally, one of the best tips I can give you here too is to use a bit of white space. Even if you don't have a full line in between each section, even having half a line of space in between one section and the next is going to help that stand out. Okay, so don't be afraid of lines, don't be afraid of color to help here separate the different sections of your CV. Next, this can also really help with your sections and subsections, but it can help with a lot of different parts. I want you to focus on the white space of your CV. So your CV should not be a densely packed piece of newsprint that is very difficult to read. Again, like I said before, we want to make our CV skimmable. We want to make it fairly simple for somebody to sit down and get to exactly the part of the CV that they are interested in and find the information that they are looking for. So here, wherever possible, I want you to use whitespace and use it creatively to break up the different parts of text in your CV and help make things stand out, help make them skimmable. For instance, you can use a half of a space or a whole space, if you have space for it, between the different sections of your CV to help delineate those different sections and subsections. This will be, of course, in conjunction with other types of formatting that we talked about before, such as maybe lines or different types of color or highlighting, etc. Next, think about using white space horizontally across the page as well. For instance, you can separate the position and the dates held by the entire width of the page, having a bunch of white space in the middle to help those two different parts also stand out. So you can have the position itself left justified, the dates right justified, and all of that white space in the middle is going to help make this information easier for somebody to pick out and spot. Another tip here, you can break up any paragraphs that you have in a CV, if you have CVs, by making them into individual bullet points. It is much easier to read an individual bullet point than it is a paragraph, and that is also a way of introducing a bit more white space to help the reader's eyes. And then finally, keeping your text left aligned instead of justified is also going to help give you a bit of white space at the end of the lines. That's just going to help the reader's eyes move from one line to the next, which helps people who are rapidly skimming information to stick with their lines, find out where they are, and it just makes it easier to read in that sense. So you don't need to justify your CV. And then finally, I don't want you to be afraid of formatting. Formatting is one of the key parts of a CV that can really help you make a lot of different types of information stand out and be easy to find instantly for your reader or your hiring manager. Literally anything here that is going to help break up chunks of text and help make that key information instantly visible to somebody's eyes when they look at your CV is an okay and good thing to include. So for instance, I'm going to ask you to do that same exact exercise as above on a CV, but this is going to be a CV with a bit of formatting. So if you look at the CV here, tell me how many different positions I have listed under the CV. Also, what year did I start my company, Butler Scientific Communications? So I bet you found the answer to these much faster than you did in the last example, and that is because of, and only because of, the formatting in this CV. So you notice here that it is easier to find each different position because each different position starts with the bold location of this position. So it is very easy to look instantly at this experience section and count exactly how many bolded positions there are. It is easy to see what my title was in each one of these positions because the company or location is in bold, my title or my position at that company is in italics, and then the dates are right justified at the other end of the screen, so they stand out on their own and they are also in bold. So here, just within the positions, I am using bold, I'm using italics, I'm using white space because I have things spread out from the left to right sides of the screen, and for the bullet points underneath, I'm using bullet points, so each individual chunk of text is easy to get to and easy to spot. Again, like I said before, with that left aligned text, there is that white space at the end that just helps your eyes move from line to line, and so this makes it for a little bit easier skimming. So things I want you to consider adding when you go through and you are formatting your CV, think of adding bold, italics, underline, color. This can be colored text. This can be highlighting. Consider adding lines to separate things and consider adding spacing. All of these different things can help highlight those different parts of the CV that you really need to stand out and that you want to make clear and easy to find for your hiring manager. So I hope you take these points now and you go and add some formatting to the draft of your CV to really make that key information pop. So if you're watching this in real time, subscribe to my channel to make sure that you get the next video in this series that's going to come out next week on some extra tips you need to make sure your CV really stands out and that are going to make your life a little bit easier in a long-term view of CV record keeping. And if you are watching the CV not in real time, the next video is right here, so you can go straight to it. Otherwise, happy CV preparation and happy writing.